From the creators who brought you RuPaul's Drag Race and Million Dollar Listing, this is World of Wonder's Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Wow Report, where we do what?
We count down the top 10 things that made us go wow.
Yes, we do. And here we are with Tom Campbell, our Chief Creative Officer at World of Wonder, James St. James, editor of the Wow Report, and moi, Fenton Bailey, co-founder of World of Wonder. By the way, you can watch the Wow Report for Radio Andy on our YouTube channel, Wow Presents Plus, with extra content, lots of mistakes, all the stuff we cut out because we were just blabbing on and on and on. All right, number 10, Tom.
Number 10.
I was gone last week, so I have to ask, and I didn't listen to the show I usually do. Have you guys been talking about Succession, the 4th season?
Yes.
Excellent. So we will talk about episode 2 in depth, but I want to just talk about my general feelings, which is I may be looking forward to this too much. I may be in breakup mode where I'm trying to pretend I don't care, because I know they're leaving, so I just kind of get cold. While I'm watching it, I think, well, this isn't as good as other seasons. And then they clobber me with like a final scene that's so good. And then I find when I talk about it with friends or read about it on blogs, I'm obsessed with every detail once again. So I'm fully into Succession. I'm just explaining why I'm single with cats, I guess. That was what that part was about.
But that's interesting because last week we were gushing about it and we were just talking about how it's the best show ever to be on television, and every single person and Roman and everybody, it's just fantastic, blah, 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 blah. But then as I was watching episode 2, I was thinking, gosh, this season is getting off to a slow start. It seems like it's everything that we've done before, and it's the same old, arguing over 8 billion versus 9 billion. It just, so you are agreeing with me maybe that it is a little slow. Is it going to get better as the season goes on?
But both things are true, right? Because it is a little repetitive, but I love these characters. And like week number 1, when Tom and Shiv were talking about their relationship, at the end of this, when they were in the apartment together, I thought that just blew my mind. And it was just so like how some people deal with relationships and some people, she's like, do you want to talk about this? And she's like, no, not really. I'm not really that person to go over.
Remind me what happened on episode 2, because I'm still stuck on the Burberry bag from episode 1.
Episode 2, the kids find out that Pierce, am I confusing episodes now? Oh no. This episode 2 is the one where it's the it
Tom,
is.
Can I just say, you are speaking to someone who thought he was watching the season premiere of season 4, and actually watched the entire premiere episode of season 2, had no idea he was watching the wrong, and didn't even think, I've seen this before. I was like, so.
It's a sign of our age or the sign of our viewing habits, or both, that when you binge things, everything kind of goes in one ear or the other, but the feelings remain. But this was the oldest brother's rehearsal party. And the kids are far away, and then they're trying now. This is to block the merger of Gojo and Tella, whatever it's called.
This is the one where they went to the karaoke and all that.
Yes. And they finally confronted their dad. Their dad confronted them. There was the amazing scene of my most favorite character, because she's relatively new, which is the old guy's secretary. Yes, with the bangs, and her anchor audition, which was passed around as a joke, and they just railed her. It was so good. Anyway,
and also, it's spoiler alert, the ending of it was Roman is switching sides and going with the dad, right? Isn't that that was the big reveal? Yes. And I do think that Roman is the one who will come out on top of in all of this. I really
that's
do.
Interesting. It's fun to think about. It does make me feel, because I'm going to talk later about, I've been watching 1930s movies, which was during the Depression, making fun of rich people. And I do think that this show makes you happy that you have the life you have and that you're not them, and that Who Wants to Be a Billionaire.
Well, that is because the other thing we talked about last week when you were not here was billionaire borecore as a style is the overwhelming style of the 2020s, where it's just the most boring outfits. That's the sign of wealth now, stealth wealth.
Yes. David Geffen's been doing that for decades.
Nothing about this show will ever make me not want to be a billionaire. I said it. It's true.
All the horrible behavior just gets him and Fenton all worked up into a lather.
And I love it. It's never too late. It's never too late. Keep going, baby.
All right, that is Succession streaming on HBO Max. It's the last season, and so someone's got to get the win the prize, right? Win the crown.
I hope so.
Yeah. James, number 9.
Number 9.
There were a lot of big news stories this week that we need to talk about. The biggest story of all, the one that everyone is talking about online, is the Barbie trailer dropped, and people are going bananas for it. I don't know if you guys watched it. It, stars, it's Greta Gerwig directed, Margot Robbie is Barbie, Ryan Gosling is Ken. And these people have never made a bad movie. None of them have ever made a bad movie. This looks like an instant camp classic in the tradition of the Brady Bunch movies, in the tradition of Romy and Michelle, in the tradition of Barb and Marge Go to Vista Del Mar. When Ryan was asked why he took the role, he said it was the best script he's ever been given. Have you all seen it? There's these the colors, the neon yellows and neon greens and neon pinks. Did you see it?
I've been watching a lot of black and white lately, but it was so hyped up when I finally pushed play at the end of the day. I thought it looked a little bit like cheap green screen.
Oh, no, it's $100 billion movie. All that stuff is real. They really did those sets.
I love their marketing's brilliant. Everybody and their mother has put their meme in the Barbie circle. There's that thing where you can put your picture into like Barbie.
This Barbie is a social media influencer. This Barbie is a whore. This Barbie is
Where is yours?
Talk about that in a second too, because there was a really funny one I'm going to talk about in the next segment. Okay. But I also wanted to, I'm very excited for it. I think it looks really great.
I don't want to yuck your yum. I don't want to yuck your yum, James. That's not why I'm here.
The first thing of the trailer where you see her step out of her high heels and the shoe, her foot is still the high heel shape. That cracked me up. I thought that was genius. There was another trailer that dropped this week that I want to mention very quickly. DC superhero movie, The Blue Beetle. And I don't know if you saw this one. The Blue Beetle is a Mexican-American teenager in the comic books, and he finds a scarab in the desert, and it's actually alien technology, and it attaches to his face and gives him superpowers and talks to him, and it has a back and forth. So it's essentially like Venom. It's essentially like Marvel's Venom a little bit. But the kid who plays the Blue Beetle, Jaime Reese, I can't remember, is named Zolo Maridueña. Maridueña is his name. He's just absolutely adorable. He's a star in the making. I'm excited for this one, but I am also interested to see how DC will fuck it up, because DC inevitably fucks up their theatrical releases. There, I said it, Fenton. You can have your chuckle. You can raise your fist in the air. I am admitting it. DC will fuck this up inevitably, but the trailer looks cute.
Oh, that's excellent. So that's it for you, is it, on the news stories of the week?
No. We've got some others, but but the biggest news story of the week wasn't Trump. It was the biggest news story of the week was the Barbie trailer, and as far as I'm concerned.
Got it. All right. More to come on the WoW Report. Number 8. Occasionally, you come across a word that is so amazing you've never heard the word before. And so you have a word of the week. And then I was thinking, I say, no, let's call this segment Word of Wonder.
Okay.
Word of Wonder.
I see what you're doing there, yeah.
Yep. This week's Word of Wonder comes from Sally Randall, James. I love her Facebook page. You know, after being queen of the nightlife, she became an air stewardess, air hostess, right?
Yeah.
But she posts really interesting things on her Facebook page.
I'll have to check her out. I love
Yes.
Sally.
And word of the week, thanks to Sally Randall, is petrichor. Petrichor. Water itself is odorless, but rain, particularly after a dry spell, produces a pleasant, earthy scent known as petrichor. Did you know
Well,
that?
I thought you were going to ask us because I knew what it was before you even asked. I thought this was going to be a.
Oh my gosh!
To wow you.
I've effed it up totally. I totally.
I think James is lying, and he didn't know the definition. I think he's.
No, I did. I say it all the time. I walk out and I say it's petrichor today, darling.
I think it's a complete lie.
No, there's not a day that passes that I don't mention how petrichor LA is.
I thought it was appropriate, James, given the enormous amount of rain LA has received lately. I thought, yes, you must have been having an olfactory orgy of petrichor.
Well, of course, I haven't smelled anything since 1988. So,
well, that's true. Well, you know the old expression, April showers bring May petrichor.
The word is a combination of two Greek words, petros, meaning stone, and ichor, which refers to the mythological golden fluid that fills the veins of the Greek gods.
Ooh.
Who knew? Did you know that? And here's the other thing. So when the water, because it doesn't smell, hits rock or soil, microorganisms called anictobacteria release an organic compound called what, James?
Wait, what was the question?
oh, you're breaking up. You're breaking up. Sounds breaking up.
They release an organic compound called what, James? Geosmin. I thought you'd know this. Geosmin.
Oh, okay.
And that is where we get the smell of petrichor. And it just gets fascinating because I know I've got you. Humans are better at sniffing out this compound than sharks are at smelling blood in the water.
Oh. You're actually introducing two words, which makes this words of wonder, which I'm fine with. I just want to make sure as we're branding this, that we
what
really
did you say was the metal that was the liquid in the god's blood? What was that?
It's a mythological golden fluid.
Yeah, called what?
Oh, I don't know. It doesn't say.
No,
Ichor.
you said it a second ago.
Ichor.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, you knew that, of course. Yes.
No, I didn't know that. No. I don't know everything about everything. As much as I would like to pretend.
I disagree.
Well, okay, let me ask you another. Is there a perfume? Can you buy a perfume called Petrichor?
Oh, well, I'm sure Joe Malone will mix it up for you if you want.
Or Britney Spears might have a new one coming out.
Well, Demeter have a Petrichor fragrance. And this comes from the episode of Doctor Who, where the Doctor flies into the future and stumbles across a giant advertisement for a new perfume with Amy Pond as the face of the new fragrance. And the slogan is "For the girl who is tired of waiting." So Demeter's Petrichor fragrance is marketed with the slogan that it allows you to travel through time and space to the refreshing smell of earth after rain, longing for a kiss that never came, not until you did. Isn't that just beautiful?
Beautiful. Speaking of Doctor Who, I want to give a shout out to Jinx Monsoon, who was cast as the Doctor Who villain this coming up season. Very exciting news.
I'm blabbing on about Petrichor, and all you have to say is let's talk about Jinx Monsoon in Doctor Who. Anyway, I love it. Congratulations to Jinx. And only humans and the fruit fly have this peculiar sensitivity to this smell. Did you know that too? Isn't it amazing? Amazing.
I've learned something.
Your dog can't smell rain?
No.
Not like we can. Not like the fruit fly.
We are just falling down a rabbit hole here on the Wild Report today.
I'm done with it. Tune in to MTV tonight for the reunion episode of season 15 of RuPaul's Drag Race. And mark your calendars for next Friday when a new queen will be crowned America's next drag superstar. You can watch it, of course, on MTV. and outside the USA on Wow Presents Plus. Let's take a break. You're listening to the Wow Report on Radio Andy.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to Wow Report. I'm Fenton here with James and Tom and Blake. We're counting down the top 10 things that made us go wow. We've reached number 7.
Number 7.
Guys, I've been away for 3 months. I'm back in LA. I'm trying to be social. And my friend Ethan invited me to a gallery that's open once a week, Sundays, and it's the Mr. Brainwash Museum. Does everyone know about this already? Am I the last to find out?
Love
I've
Mr.
been to
Brainwash.
many Mr. Brainwash parties over the year at different museum spaces and art gallery spaces. He's sort of a Los Angeles legend. Yes,
And that movie Through the Gift Shop.
Through the Gift Shop. Yes.
Features him. Well, he's made so much money. His art is pop art made populous. He does mashups. It's like, Renaissance paintings, and he'll put a series of Star Wars creatures in them. He has Fat Superman. It's a museum where the Paley Center for Media used to be, right there at Beverly and Little Santa Monica. And it only opens on Sunday. It's 3 stories. Already it was a weird museum space because, you went there to watch videos in the past. That's closed. That's over. And on the roof, he has like a reproduction of the roof of the Hockney pools. It is the most amazing photo op in the world. And it's also, you can pose in like recreated Vincent van Gogh photos that are 3D and you can jump on them. So it's just this idea that museums have been the same for so long. They're a little stuffy. I've always had trouble with like getting close to the little placket that explains it and then going far away to look at it. People are in between you. This was so much fun. I went not knowing what it was. I went with my hands kind of in my pocket. And then I thought about my nephew, Brady, who's going to turn 9 in June. I thought like, oh, I want to show him all of this. So I started taking pictures thinking he needs to see, he would love all of this. Fenton, say something.
Well, no, it's the perfect pivot. It's like the Museum of Ice Cream, turned into the Mr. Brainwash's aesthetic. And his aesthetic is so genius because he just takes Warhol, he just takes Banksy, graffiti, and puts it all in an Instagram. I mean, it is unbelievably brilliant. And I've always thought he was unbelievably brilliant. And Tom, I believe you've been in the office a couple of times when he used to come in wanting us to make films. He's a very eccentric Frenchman who loves to talk. And he would make videos until, I think the backstory is, he made all these videos, sent them to Banksy, and Banksy said, "This is terrible. I'll make a film about you." And that is how the documentary Exit Through the Gift Shop supposedly was created. I say,
but if you recall, there was a long period where people thought that Mr. Brainwash was Banksy.
I still believe he might be.
He might be. I also want to mention too that Theron is very good friends with him, and that's how I've gone to different parties and things. So I thought maybe you had gone with Theron to the gallery.
No, I went with Ethan Peterson, but we got there and then we realized he was there. So it's like Sunday. It's like $20. I think Blake, you said you have tickets coming up.
We're going on April 30th.
I went with zero expectation. I hope I'm not hyping it too much. And it's full of kids. And, normally I don't want to be in a room with kids, but everyone's just in love. And it's all the stuff you're saying, Fenton, in terms of Warhol and pop, but he also melds Renaissance painting, Impressionist painting. And I sound silly. This is how I learned pop culture. You know how RuPaul says, I learned everything from TV, me too. But we had this board game called Masterpiece growing up.
I loved Masterpiece. Oh God, that was my favorite game ever. Yes.
And it took it was postcards of classic paintings, Chagall, Rembrandt, very identifiable artists. And you would play a game where you would clip onto the back what they were worth. And some were forgeries, some were imposters. It was kind of turned into a game of fish. But I was exposed as a very young child in New Hampshire where there were no museums I went to, fine art. And when I went to Harvard and did the fine arts course, it was kind of the same thing. You're just memorizing, watching, learning, So I think any exposure for my young nephew or anybody to art is wonderful. And why shouldn't it be mashed up like music? Why should it be
Anything to
remixed?
get the kids interested, yes. Masterpiece is where I first saw like Christina's World and like Guernica and all that. Oh my God, all of that. I need to go and find a copy on eBay because that was really a fun game.
If you get it, let's play.
Yes.
And James, do you want to go with me to the Mr. Brainwash Museum of Art?
Yeah, totally. Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right.
You'll enjoy it.
Find out where to get tickets to Mr. Brainwash's Art Museum on the Wow Report. Number 6, James.
Number 6.
I want to sort of bring it back down again for a second because something happened this week that was really disturbing to me. It was very upsetting. The 60 Minutes interview with Marjorie Taylor Greene that Leslie Stahl conducted. So many problems with it. First of all, why is 60 Minutes giving her oxygen? She's a kook. She's a QAnon conspiracy nut. She's a terrible, terrible person. She's the worst of the Republican Party, and she's only getting more and more power. And every time you do these interviews with her, you give her a platform. Why were they giving her this platform? And then, second of all, so Leslie Stahl, who is, I love Leslie Stahl. She's a very chic older woman. She's what I want to look like. She's who I imagine I look like in my head. But she gave her this softball interview with absolutely no pushback. It was so disappointing when at one point Marjorie Taylor Greene says with a straight face that every single Democrat is a pedophile. All Leslie Stahl did was say, wow. Like there was no like challenging of anything. And you have to believe that there was some behind the scenes deal making to get the interview because Marjorie Taylor Greene was promoting it all week. She knew that she came off well. If she had come off well, she would not be she'd be bitching about it. And she wasn't. She was talking about this one, the interview she did on 60 Minutes, blah, blah, blah. I just, I think that the problem is, and I hate to be ageist, but Leslie Stahl is 81 years old, and they might have needed a younger, more hungry reporter to go after Marjorie. I did see there was a couple things on Twitter. Leslie Stahl was tougher on Marcel the Shell with shoes on than she was with Marjorie Taylor Greene because she was in, the Marcel movie. Another one said Leslie Stahl never misses an opportunity to miss an opportunity.
That's a good one.
But there is a whole.
What did you think?
There's a whole news department. That's what's scary. It's like, okay, she's an older reporter. There's CBS News. There's the 60-minute producers. And they let that go on 60 Minutes of all institutions that is famous for taking people on and presenting the facts.
But Leslie Stahl has done softball before. She did it with Trump, actually, notably.
Yes, she did. Yes.
And also, then right after it, Marjorie Taylor Greene, doubles down on Twitter and says, I'll say it again, Democrats are the party of pedophiles, and shows a picture of Biden leaning in to talk to a child. It's so offensive.
It's bizarre. It is bizarre. It makes you, and this is sort of a separate tangent here, but it makes you think, are Republicans, do they really believe that every Democrat is a pedophile, or is it just one of those things that they do to trigger the libs and trigger the snowflakes, and they say it to piss us off?
It's like they play it like it's some kind of like football game, and they just want to like put down the other team. It doesn't really matter at what cost
it's just
or what.
Trash talk is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like wrestling. It's like pro wrestling. That's what they're doing.
But there are enough kooks out there who latch onto it and really start believing it,
And then they write things and leave them in their car and go into schools, and you know what I'm saying? Like, there are very loose cannons out there that kind of talk ignites. I absolutely believe that.
There was a slightly satisfying video of her sort of getting in her car to go to the airport, I guess, and just a huge crowd jeering her and harassing her.
Oh, you mean when she showed up in New York for
who? We're not gonna say the name.
That was nice, but it does seem like that the net.
It would have been so great if a reporter had spent like half the day asking her polite questions and then half the day asking questions like she asks questions and saying things like she says things, give her a taste of her own medicine. But
I wish that she did. It sort of comes off as if Marjorie Taylor Greene had a good week,
Oh yeah. That's profoundly disappointing. The good news is the ratings were down. It wasn't watched by very many people because most people are more sensible and just avoid that stuff. In
Yeah.
the same way that Rachel Maddow post the arraignment of a certain person simply omitted and decided not to share the remarks of that person from when they got back home to Florida. So that's kind of the way to go, right? All right, let's move on. Number 5.
Number 5.
I want to, this relates to Mr. Brainwash, actually. Damien Hirst. I'm a big fan, love his work. He has a new spin on spin art. About, 20 years ago, he started doing spin art paintings. Damien Hirst didn't invent spin art. Where you put the paint and you spin the canvas around, it goes psh, psh, psh. It was a sort of 60s, 70s thing. Anyway, he's got this new edition. I mean, it's so genius. It's just, he's got this new edition of spin art prints that he's doing, and you can customize the spin art that he does for you. So, because they're using generative and machine learning algorithms. I know this is going to get you into a lather, James. So, first of all, to create the network titles, to create the artwork titles, they have a modern transformer neural network model trained on data curated from a dependency parser that interprets objects and forms description pairs derived from a large textual input set.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
So that's how you name your painting. The color names themselves were generated using machine learning. So we have names like Himalayan waters, interdimensional cloud, tangerine pine, etc. And then when you order your print, you can choose from 25 different artwork styles. So there'll be eclipse, or there will be vortex. I mean, they just go, there's 25 and you pick, and then you can add a blur function. And then once that's done and you've chosen the colors and you've the generated artworks are upscaled to a resolution of 16K using a machine learning algorithm fine-tuned on a historical catalog of 2,000 of Damien Hirst spin art paintings. Blah, 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 blah. You can order it round or square and in 3 different sizes. The big round one will cost you $6,000. But the best bit is, having done all this work, having customized your spin art painting, Damien Hirst signs it. So you create it, he signs it. It's sort of a mind-boggling concept that I sort of love, sort of hate.
I think James has something to say about this.
It's essentially AI created NFTs is what you're telling me that Damien Hirst then signs. So you've taken the 2 big trends of last year and this year. You've sucked every bit of creativity out of art, and then you're making $6,000 to $10,000 by having him sign his name to it. Correct?
Yeah. So you get a
You've gotten 3 of them. You've gotten 1 for each child for Christmas so far.
I know you hate me, James, but no, I'm not getting one. You can order a tiny one. It's about $1,000 or a tiny one, but it's about the size of a dinner plate. I expect the signature is the biggest thing on it,
This is just it, he is such a huckster. He really, when he's brilliant, he's brilliant. But when he's in huckster mode, there is nobody more shameless than Damien Hirst.
But I think the Mr. Brainwash's Art Museum should have a giant spin art thing that you can put your children in, covered in paint, spin it around and create a painting that Mr. Brainwash then signs or something.
What if you brought your AI-generated children to the Mr. Brainwash? I don't know. It's all possible. As long as I'm making money.
I know. Okay. I mean, it's sort of fantastic bullshit. And I think kind of alchemical genius, like turning stuff into gold, literally, I guess, really.
Well, how many people are going to be making money off of AI as opposed to how many people are going to be losing their livelihood due to AI? And I think that right now we are in the making money, but I think the AI is about to destroy the world.
Well, I just met the new AI Wow Report editor, and just a doll.
Yeah,
doll.
I've wanted to mention that we should be doing Chat GPT for the Wow Report, but I'm afraid of Trey's response for that.
Fighting words, James. Drag performers in the LGBTQ plus community are facing threats across the country, and that's why World of Wonder, RuPaul's Drag Race, and MTV are proud to donate to the Drag Defense Fund to support the ACLU's work to fight for the protection of LGBTQ plus rights. Learn more and donate at aclu.org/dragdefense.
Did you see today that it was just passed in the Texas Senate, I believe, that just wearing makeup outside of a club is considered drag and therefore illegal. That's what's happening in Texas right now. And if you saw in Tennessee today, there was a big march on the state capitol, and tens of thousands of teenagers and young people were there screaming and shouting for their rights. So it's
a drag march this Sunday in West Hollywood. There's a drag march at 10 a.m.
Good. I mean, stay engaged, stay involved, because it's scary out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Change is coming, no question.
Hopefully.
Blake, do you have a question?
I do. What Bravo celebrity used to work at World of Wonder?
Ooh. We'll have the answer for you right after the break here on the Wow Report.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. I'm Fenton here with James and Tom and Blake. That was an interesting question, Blake.
Yeah, I asked what Bravo celebrity used to work at World of Wonder.
Well, it wasn't when Lisa Rinna was the receptionist. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Excluding that.
Wasn't Bethany Frankel our courier for a while? Didn't she complain a lot but deliver packages? Am I wrong?
Yeah, back in the early days when she wasn't a billionaire businesswoman. No, it's Summer House's hunky Carl Radke. Used to work at World of Wonder. And now he's like on Summer House and super tall and super gorgeous. And
what did he do at WoW? Do you remember?
I don't really remember. I just remember there being a really hot hunky guy and being like, who is that? And then they were like, it's Carl Radke. And then like a year or two later, I was watching Summer House and I was like, I know that name. And it was him.
I thought I was a hunky guy at WoW. What happened? I didn't realize there was competition.
Wow.
I'd stop eating if I'd known. I didn't know.
All right, marvelous. We counted down top 10 things a minute ago. Wow, we've reached number 4. Tom.
Number 4.
If I seem a little extra dizzy than I normally feel dizzy, it's because I've been celebrating the 100th anniversary of Warner Brothers. April 4th, 1923, Harry, Albert, Sam, and Jack Warner started Warner Brothers. What does that mean? On Turner Classic Movies, where I spent a lot of time anyway, they are showing, it would seem almost in order of release, the movies. This week, starting Sunday, this week has been mostly pre-Hays Code, the movie code where everything got cleaned up starting like in 34, 35. Black and white Warner Brothers dramas. And I want to tell you that I remember each one. They all blend together.
No,
not in a bad way. Not in a bad way, but like it is, before television, people went and saw movies. So if something was a hit with Barbara Stanwyck and Gary Cooper, they made 3, and George Rath and all these names that hasn't necessarily aged as well, just in terms of, they were usurped by, were so important. Joan Blondell, just one after another. James, we were talking about
before you say that, go on to say that, because in that mode, I want to say that they've been doing this Kay Francis marathon, and Kay Francis is one of those people that nobody remembers, and I heard all my life about how stylish she was and how important she was as a star in the 1930s, but I can't get her to save my life. I cannot find an entrance into Kay Francis movie. They're terrible. But anyway, so what were some of the movies that you watched?
No, it's more the whole overall. I mean, you talked about 3 on a Match.
Oh,
is probably
God, it was so good.
One. It's a young Betty Davis. She has like lower billing, and
Joan Blondell, Anne Dvorak, Humphrey Bogart, and Anne Dvorak becomes a coke addict, and it's just she is lying in bed in a dirty slip, looking like Courtney Love in the 90s, sniffing up a storm, and Humphrey Bogart comes in and slaps her and is making fun of her for being a cokehead. It is everything I want in a 2023 movie that was 100 years ago. It's just incredible.
It feels like they should all be remade. The distinction, I'm told, is that obviously this was right at the cusp when everything was revolutionizing, when we went from silent movies to talking movies, and they literally didn't have enough stars to fill the parts. So everybody from Broadway came out. And so a lot of people, if they could just speak, if they looked well, the Hollywood aesthetic hadn't been fully centered yet. What was beautiful, every movie, there's all these gold diggers of 33 with a young Ginger Rogers. But
the people who made it into these movies, they had that sort of mid-Atlantic accent.
Yes.
Like that, yes. But I do want to say that I watched Babyface too, Barbara Stanwyck, where she is.
I watched it last night.
Whore climbing her way to the top. I mean, just literally, she's 14 years old and her daddy puts her to work in his whorehouse. And it is just shocking that these movies were made when the Hays Code came along. If you were a bad person, you had to get your comeuppance in the end. And you sort of see in these 33, 34 movies, 1933, 1934, like in the end, Anne Dvorak jumps out of a window and dies because she's a cokehead. I mean, you're starting to see that people have to get, but with Babyface, it is just, she's just a whore, and there's just no, she just loves every minute of it.
She falls in love at the end, and she gets the guy.
Yeah. I also watched Little Caesar, which was Warner Brothers did great gangster movies. That's what they were known for, and bad girls and gangsters. And Little Caesar is Edward G. Robinson. Is one of his big roles. It's just it's the first drive-by shooting in a movie. It's just fantastic.
But the thing about Warner Brothers that distinguishes itself, I'm told, is that they dealt with the issues of the day when the others were just glossing over them and sort of pretending that they didn't happen. And so even the musicals and the Gold Diggers, it ends with brother, can you spare a dime? And they really are talking to the working man and the fears that people have. And the way that
MGM was trying to, like you say, gloss over the fact that we were in a depression, and they were just showing
escapism, and somehow Warner Brothers mixed it all up. The only other thing, there's even gay references in Gold Diggers of 33. The director asked the choreographer to come to his apartment after rehearsing, and he's lonely, needs some help. And all I can think of is, and this is ridiculous, but if I had watched movies like this growing up, Hollywood has sold us a lie about love, a lie about everything that we didn't exist, we weren't represented, and there's obviously the Lavender Closet and Vito, what's his face, and all that great
Haynes, all that stuff.
Yes, already. But it just made me think if I knew the world was like this, I would have fared much better. If I'd known the world was full of, because they basically tell Barbara Stanwyck and Babyface, you're beautiful, use it, use men, don't let them use you, exploit them. They even quote Nietzsche to her, go out there and get some, make it happen.
Nietzsche said, "Go out and get some." Is that
basically watch it?
That's funny. All right, that's pre-code movies on TCM. I think that's so true, and I think television is what has told us the truth about who we are more than the movies, really. In the post-code era,
it's one of those things where you see it happening now, where incrementally there was more truth in movies, and then it went backwards, and it backslid in the late 30s, where there was so much more grittiness and realism as opposed to what happened later on once the Hays Code came in and censorship started happening. So
right. Let's move on then. Number 3.
Rest in Perfection. This is usually the part where things get a little sadder. We lost another great LGBTQ icon, another drag icon, another legend. Heklina passed away, the great San Francisco club owner and just all around character. She was known for just her laugh, and she was dirty and disgusting, and she was raunchy, and people loved her for it. We talked in the last couple of weeks, we've lost JoJo Baby, we lost Lily Savage, we've lost Darcel from Portland, the oldest working drag queen. It seems like they're just coming faster and faster and faster. It was interesting. The one funny thing about it Well, first of all, very sad that that Peaches Christ, they were in Peaches Christ and Heklina were in London to do Mommy Queerest, and it was Peaches who found her best friend. And so big hug out to, Peaches, who is obviously going through it. But Lady Bunny did a post, did an Instagram. We were talking about the Barbie thing and how everybody in the world has put Barbie up and saying this Barbie is a social media influencer, this Barbie is a whore, this Barbie is out of her mind, blah blah blah. Well, Bunny put a picture of Heklina up and said this Barbie is dead, and everyone was just like, too soon, Bunny, too soon. Oh my god. But Heklina would have loved it. Heklina would have laughed hysterically over something like that. And it was that moment where everyone was feeling just awful, and we all just let out a laugh because that's Bunny's humor, but it was Heklina's humor too, to just make fun of everything when things get dark.
If I predecease, you promise that you'll make fun of me, please.
I will guarantee the body.
James doesn't even wait till you're dead. I mean, if you're me, it's like
I have it all lined up. But I just,
I think if I die, it will be from James making fun of me.
And the other weird thing that's sort of a sign of the times is up and down and up and down. Huffington Post did a really beautiful article about her talking about, the clubs that she's done in San Francisco. She very famously did Tranny Shack in both San Francisco and Los Angeles before the T word became, you couldn't use it, and she changed it to Queen or Mother.
T-Shack.
I think it's called Mother. I think it's called Mother.
She had Mother, yes. But interestingly, HuffPost would not mention Tranny Shack. They never even mentioned that club at all. Never even called it even T-Shack. They just they omitted that whole part of her because it's Huffington Post and you can't really, use the T word. But then in the comment section, the nastiness and the vitriol from the Republican bots and the Russian bots, it was something that really took my breath away as to how nasty the conversation about drag and trans has become.
It is really nasty. And James, I like you, I just don't believe it's real. I just don't believe there are real people with this kind of antipathy.
Saying, like, good, another drag queen is dead was basically the thread that one less groomer, like, they have these key talking points that they use no matter how nasty and irresponsible and just god awful it was. So it was beautiful that Huffington Post did it, but I wish they would have turned their comment section.
Well, I'd rather my kid be a drag queen than a Republican. And I would like to end this with one more bonus trivia question. Do you know where Heklina got her drag name?
Oh, I do.
From I think it's a German word that means the smell of freshly fallen rain.
No, she was Icelandic, and she's named after a volcano in Iceland.
Hekla, the volcano Hekla, yeah.
I love that. That is thank you for that. That is genius. All right, let's move on. Rest in perfection, Heklina. Number 2.
Number 2.
Have a new family member, a pet robot.
Oh,
some time ago, Amazon announced that they were building a home robot and you could sign up for it. Well, Billy did. And they have finally released this thing.
Wasn't there like a 3-year waiting list or something for it? How long is the waiting list?
It was about 3 years, but I guess because we buy a lot of Amazon in this house, we've been one of the lucky chosen few to receive an advance edition of Astro.
Do you love it? I mean, you seem a little.
It's got wheels, 4 big wheels. It has it looks like a small dog, and it's about 20 pounds, so it's about the same size as a small dog. And then it just has an iPad for a face. But I have to tell you, it has these, like, when you wake it up or say hi Astro, these eyes come on and they're like circles, or it'll like close its eyes when it's sleeping, or blink its eyes. And it's uncanny how quickly you've developed feelings for this thing, which sits in its docking station, doesn't like to be left alone. So it'll just come out of its docking station and trundle into the kitchen. And I'm like, hello, Astro, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm just hanging out in the kitchen. And he just sits there in the kitchen. Or then he'll go to the front door.
Scary.
It's a
I
little
thought that it was
creepy.
basically a Roomba with Alexa's or Siri.
It's a Roomba with an iPad, and then also it has, you can say, hey Astro, take a picture. It has a periscope that goes up, and then they'll take a picture of everybody in the room.
This is how Megan started, you know.
Well, while all this is happening, all your data is being streamed and uploaded to the cloud, you know, whoever or whatever that is, you know.
Does it walking on you when you're in the shower? Does it taking naked pictures of you?
Exactly. Who needs a Chinese weather balloon when you got one rundling around in your own house?
Taking unflattering pictures from below, looking up your neck and chin.
Yes. But it's basically mining data and giving it to who?
Whoever.
Jeff Bezos?
Exactly. Because the security aspect, it can actually function like a Ring camera. So it can do like spot checks in your home, but that's an extra monthly charge to actually be security and like investigate break-ins.
So is it supposed to just keep you company?
What?
Same question. Is it supposed to just keep you company? What's it supposed to do?
It does have a sort of companion element. You do find yourself, I mean, you don't have to feed it, but you sort of do find yourself liking it, even though it does nothing. It's got a little on its back, it's got a little cup holder, so you can have it bring your drink from one room to the next. But I'm capable of carrying my own drink, well, normally.
Can
and
you say to it though, Astro, what is the what is the Icelandic volcano that Heklina was named after? Can you ask it?
You can say it syncs with Alexa, so you can talk to it as Alexa as well. You can say Alexa.
It's a nosy Alexa that goes from room to room. It's a traveling Alexa.
Right.
I have to ask, if Billy starts calling it Fenton and the kids start calling it Daddy, I get out of the house. Get out of the house. Come over to my place. We're going to figure this out together. I'm worried.
It is weird because I'm sitting here working, and then I hear these weird noises coming from downstairs. It goes, it like if it's left alone, it makes sort of noises that sort of make you want to
wonder. Climb the stairs. It cannot.
Far, no. Thank goodness.
Don't you have a sunken living room? Am I wrong? Don't you have a few steps into your living room? And so there's some rooms you can be free from it.
Exactly. It's just the hallway, the dining room, and the kitchen, and. But it's but there you go. The future is here. I guess when they release it, it's I just don't know what it does. That's the problem.
So, but basically this is a prototype, and in 5 years it will probably be climbing stairs and doing all sorts of crazy
and assassinating, smothering you in your
Boston Dynamic.
It's Westworld.
Billy's voice. Hello, Fenton.
Well, right. It'll say, hello, Fenton, I've missed you, which it would be uncharacteristic coming from Billy's mouth. So.
I'm here forever, Fenton. I'm here forever.
Forever. And I can't let you do that, Fenton.
Open the pod bay doors, Astro. I know, right? The future is here. All right. Big news. Queen of the Universe is back. Season 2 premieres June the 2nd, Paramount Plus. You can meet the queens over on the Wow Report. We're going to take one more break. And when we come back, reveal the number one thing this week that made us go, wow.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. I'm Fenton here with Tom and James and Blake. We've been counting down the top 10 things of the week that made us go wow. And we've reached number one.
Number one.
This person
someone had a perp walk this week. Someone got a lot of attention. Someone went on a rant later on. Someone was fingerprinted and taken into custody.
I did love the meme I saw of the fingerprints of this person. Did you see it? It was a signed sheet, the fingerprints.
Little tiny.
I think it was a teeny tiny because that person has tiny hands.
Did you also see the Time magazine cover and the New Yorker magazine cover?
Time magazine cover was genius. Is that the one of the giant thumbprint with a little mouth in the middle?
Mouth, and then the New Yorker was the first time they've ever used a court picture. You know, the court drawing. They
Oh,
use
right.
that where he looks like he's just constipated and
I saw
nasty.
somebody put that courtroom drawing into a frame and made it look like it was the presidential portrait, official presidential portrait.
Where Biden was hanging.
Biden and Obama are smiling next to it.
I did see a great
to
one
talk about.
with sorry, I just a great one with remember Jodie Foster in Hannibal Lecter? What was it called? Silence of the Lambs. Thank you. Yes. Jodie Foster, when she goes and meets Hannibal Lecter behind bars, they've replaced Hannibal Lecter with this person, and Jodie Foster has been replaced with Hillary Clinton, and Hillary is saying to the person behind bars, "I brought you some emails to read." I thought it was really good.
My problem about this person is I hate to give this person any oxygen in any way. I hate to watch. I didn't like the clips I saw of planes moving and all that crappy 24-hour news cycle arrangement. And I refuse to be satisfied until I'm satisfied. Like, we have mourned the death and danced on the quote unquote grave of this person time and time again, only to be bushwhacked.
Well, interestingly, I was up at 7 a.m. watching the news as it was happening, and as you saw the motorcade, and you saw the plane, and you saw the drones, covering every second of the motorcade leaving Mar-a-Lago, whatever, to go to the airport. And CNN, oh, God, they make me so crazy. CNN was saying, yes, and covering this like a visiting dignitary, visiting royalty, only helps him, as they continue to do it. Like, they see the problem, they know what they're doing, and they continue to do it anyway. It drives me bananas. There was also, of course, immediately afterwards, the Republicans started spinning it and started making money off of it, and he raised another $8 million that day. And then they started saying this is so good for him. This has clinched his win in 2024. Blah 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 blah. So,
I hope they tear each other to bits and pieces. The only reason for Marjorie blah 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 Green and Sansa, I hope they just all rip each other apart. I'm looking forward to that. I hope.
But they don't. They all seem to be falling in line with him. So it's terrifying.
But in the good news department, it does seem like 34 charges of financial fraud, and it isn't just related to Stormy Daniels. There are 2 other instances of falsification of records related to improper conduct with people. So, maybe.
But you do, but the thing you keep hearing on CNN is that they'll bring out person after person after person from the Republican side saying, well, these are bogus charges and they're absolutely ridiculous. And talking to our legal analysts, they say that there is absolutely no merit to these things. And CNN doesn't push back and say that's not true. So it is allowing the narrative to be hijacked once again.
Indeed.
This is not a
But
big
CNN
deal.
has been going MAGA for a while now, hasn't it?
Yeah, we shouldn't mention them anymore either.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Tom, what were you going to say?
No, that was it. I said we should not say his name or that network's name. There, we're gonna.
Right.
And also Van Johnson, who is just the worst of the worst of the worst of the worst of the worst. Who he was saying he looked like a very sad grandpa today, and it's just like, really, that's your takeaway from all of this, is that you're giving him like grandpa vibe. Like, it just
Yeah.
These people
I did have a favorite moment of walking into some part of the building, I guess, and the guy in front of him didn't hold the door, and it just shut in his face.
That was good, because probably that has never happened in his life. Somebody did not hold the door for him, and you could see how instantly plucked he was, how irritated.
Exactly. Well, thanks for tuning in to the Wow Report on Radio Andy Sirius XM. Listen to previous episodes on our YouTube channel, Wow Presents, and we'll see you same time, same place next week. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, James. Thank you, Blake. And thank you for listening. And until then, go out and do something that makes the world go
wow.